In this video, I'm going to briefly discuss good practices. Now, I'm not going to advocate for a particular set of guidelines for your code. Almost every group, whether it be a major software company or a small research group, has some sort of conventions to which they adhere. These can be far-sweeping rules that govern every aspect of development, or they could be even something extremely simple. In the end, it's really up to you, well, sometimes your employer, to what rules you follow. So for this video, I'm simply going to urge you to be consistent. In my experience, consistency saves a great amount of time, especially when you're revisiting previous projects or when you're working with code from other groups or individuals. The more consistent the naming, the formatting, comments, etc., the faster it is to get that code up and running. The other area where I would urge you is in documentation. Too often, documentation is an afterthought that's really thrown together at the last minute before you ship a product or before moving on to another project. If you take the time to properly document your code as you go, or even before you write the code, this can make your life and really the lives of everyone who's using your code much, much easier. One caveat to this is that not all documentation is good documentation, and you should really take care to ensure that any documentation you provide is useful and necessary. Also, diligence is required to ensure that that documentation stays up to date. The notebook here contains a few links to our specific style guides. I would strongly suggest that you identify the standards, guidelines, or whatever requirements your specific group or industry or domain has, and incorporate as much of that into your own code as possible.